discipline makes me look less attractive and less beautiful, and maybe that's also what you need to realize, understand for yourself, and change in your embodiment to actually glow up and have your inner work really reflect visibly and shine on your face in a very visible way and physical transform. So I'm gonna share this with you, but first, please let me tell you about my knitting project. I don't have anything to sell. I'm just so happy to talk about it to someone who have care. So please just drop a good work, good job on the comments. I will be so happy to have that reward because it takes forever to make any piece in knitting. I had the project of making my little wardrobe. You know what? Impossible, because by the time I finish that wardrobe, I will have a totally different weight, style, wants, and needs. So, okay, this is just the sweater that I'm working on right now. I bought this pink wool, and in the end, I bought it online, and the pink is not what I thought it should be, but I'm rolling with it. So, right now, it looks like nothing, but have a little imagination. Imagine. Okay. Okay, now it's reversed because I need to sew the sorry, not sew, to knit the actually to sew the arms, like the sleeves. So it's reversed. It looks like really nothing, but I will be so happy to show you in the next videos how I go from that to transition. No, not transition, because it will be like in 2 months to something a lot better. I will also put some linings like this for the how do you call it in English? This thing, you know, this thing here, something like that, something like that, something like that. Okay, back to the video. Okay, so I know a lot of attractive, successful women preach with discipline, and maybe you yourself relied on it to be where you are at now. And I clap to that. I'm not against discipline at all. The thing is that often we don't realize that those women, or even yourself, didn't really experienced discipline as restriction, or maybe they already have it integrated because of childhood or whatever program they were in through life, education, whatever family values. And I suspect also a lot of them live life way more like soft, or at least nuanced, that they let us know, or even that they tell themselves, because it's easy to, for the same amount of discipline, two-person can have a perception of it completely different. One person can be like, oh, I'm so disciplined and I'm going to talk about discipline to other women to motivate them, and another person could be like, oh, this is not enough and I'm not disciplined enough, you know. And both would actually work the same amount of time and do the same things, like, I don't know, go to the gym or use their discipline, however. So I'm not saying they're lying or you're lying if you rely on discipline, but I think this is just how identity works, you know? You naturally believe yourself to be good in the things that you believe to be good at. You know, like, if I believe, which is my belief, that I'm a very good cook, I would naturally talk about all the good plates and recipes that I did, and I will forget about all the times that I completely failed my plate. And this would not be me lying, this would just be me being in my identity of a good cook, which is, by the way, a very good way to embody any identity. Think about that, but it's for another video. If you see my life, you could easily, or even I could easily sell that I do all that through discipline, and discipline is so important, and I love discipline. You know, I don't know, I go to the gym, I walk every day like 10,000 steps, and I eat healthy and all of that. So I could use that. Could actually even work better than what, what I'm doing right now, you know, trying to preach beauty and freedom and all these weird things, right? But it would not be true to myself, because I really don't relate with discipline at all, and I don't rely on it on a daily basis. You know, those people who say it was not motivation, it was and you believe they're gonna say something like magical, and they just say discipline, and you're like, what? Discipline for me is just keeping my motivation in the long run, you know. If I cannot be motivated, I cannot be disciplined. It's like way harder. So discipline for me is really tightness in my body. Discipline for me it's not working. It hardens my face, it dysregulates my nervous system. And the problem now, I know what you are thinking. You would not be able to do all of that without discipline, girl. You are actually disciplined, girl. Girl, I'm not. Really, I'm not. I tried to be so for so long. I'm not. And of course, I can be everything. I have everything in me. And if I need to build some discipline for something to actually, I don't know, save a child from an accident, or I don't know, you tell me that if I become disciplined, of course I'm gonna find that energy inside of me, okay? But the thing is that it's just not the way I want to function. It's just not my natural rhythm, frequency, or I don't know. I don't know what it is. But I know that the belief that you can reach certain things only through discipline happened to be untrue for me. And the best way that I replaced it and that worked way better for me was through devotion, which might be just semantics, you know? Maybe it's actually discipline, but I like to view it as something else. Maybe it's my definition of discipline who is wrong. Maybe. But that word discipline is really linked to so many things that I don't relate to. You know, this hardness, this no pain, no gain, going to do it. I don't know. It's just not my energy, you know? I like the energy of devotion. It speaks to my soul. It's like soft, and at the same time, it really brings you to result and to your goals, and it drives you, but not in a painful way. I like the notion of identity-based consistency. Like if I have the identity of something, I will naturally be consistent with the thing related to that identity. Like if I'm a coffee lover, I will naturally drink my coffee every day with consistency, you know, and there will be no problem to it. So if I love it, it means this is part of my identity's bracket. And so it's easy for me to be consistent, which is not discipline because I'm not like pushing myself to drink my coffee every day. It's just natural for me to do it. But I can build that identity, and so I can build that consistency to the things that I want to build, but still I would not call it discipline or view it as discipline or even experience it as discipline, because I would not push myself or force myself or shut myself down and like, you know, to reach anything. And then I believe that with repetition you can start to choose what feels safe and aligned and right to you and really feels good to you, which was not always the case for me, because sometimes when you are still not so aligned, you feel good towards things that are bad for you in a way. Like, for example, I don't know if you love Coca Cola or Diet Cokes, these kind of things, and you know it's bad for you deep down, but you actually feel it feels good when you drink it, you know, these kind of things. You can be like a little bit messed in the head, you know. I'm kidding. You can be mixed in what actually feels good for your body or feels good for your head. When you're not aligned, then two entities are not aligned, and this is when you maybe not take always the good choices, and it can happen to all of us. Okay, but the purpose or the goal is to reach a level where you are attracted to the things that are actually good for you and repulsed by the things that are actually not good for you, which is also something that you can practice and build with repetition and with a work on that. And that gives also a lot of good result, because then you are attracted to actually do the things that feels good to you, like go to the gym and go for a walk and eat good. And it's still not discipline, because you do that just because you are attracted to that in that moment. So this is three things that replace for me discipline, you know: self-devotion, identity-based consistency, and just working on feeling attracted to the things that are actually good for you and repulsed by the things that are actually not good for you. And when I started switching to that and allowing myself to not rely on discipline, allowing myself to go against the current that is like, oh, you absolutely need to be disciplined and you absolutely need to build that discipline. And when I was pushing through that identity, I ended up tired, losing my glow, and not being able to regulate my nervous system, which in the end was annealing every result that I could get just because I was pushing outside of myself and not being true to. There is a difference between that I can still not quite explain, but I can feel inside of me. So maybe you can also feel it, that there is a difference between your ego believing that he is something, and so you maybe decide that, oh no, this is not for me, when actually it could be something that could be for you. And there is another feeling which is more a feeling in the body instead of a feeling in the mind. That's why I cannot, I really don't know how to explain it, but I really feel inside of my body the difference, that when I feel like really it's out of my natural composition or coloration, you know. It's not just that, oh, I don't believe that I can be that. I do believe that I can be disciplined. I do believe, and I did actually. I saw myself being disciplined. I know that I can be that, but I know that in my body it doesn't feel like me, and it doesn't feel like aligned. It doesn't feel good in all the ways that something that is good for me should feel good. And I know it's not just a mindset shift to have, but it's really just for me to figure out another way to go through that, with another path that maybe didn't exist until I found it. Like any of us can find a new path in something that we struggle with. And this is for me the purpose, little bit of purpose of our life, to crave those paths. So for me, that path was through self-devotion and identity-based consistency, and feeling in my body, not in my head, what's really feel right for me, and being attracted to that and repulsed to. Okay, I'm repeating myself. So let me give you examples actually in my life, my daily life, in my lifestyle, how I'm using those concepts exactly. If you feel like discipline is also depleting you from your beauty and is really impacting your nervous system actually, and you want another path to go through your desires and goals that would feel more soft and aligned with you, um, so I will talk about maybe it's sport, gym, because I know generally that's where we want to find discipline, to go to the gym, to do sport, to do activities. Also my diet, because that's also a, a sphere where we want to find discipline to eat healthy and follow a specific diet or whatever. And I'll talk a bit about work, even though it's not my main topic, because I don't consider myself like a working girl so much. But this is, for example, an identity that I'm stuck with, on a limiting belief that I don't believe myself to be a working girl, a businesswoman. Okay, this is my belief. This is I can feel that this is in my mind, I can feel that I'm saying that, but when I say it and I will listen to the video again, I will be like, girl, why you could not be a businesswoman? Why you could not be that working mom? I'm not a mom, but whatever, I want to be a working mom, let me be. I can feel that this is something from my mind. I'm still saying it because, sometimes I'm also saying some things that I reflect on it afterwards. But for the discipline, I really feel like it's in my body. And of course, linked to the definition of discipline that we created in this world and society. But I need to go with definitions at some point. Okay. I'm excited today. I'm like I had 10 coffees, but I didn't drink any coffee. I had a matcha actually. Yeah, back to the video. um, okay, with sport, what I'm doing to be in my self devotion instead of my discipline, and it shows then on my body, on my face, on my shine, on my aura. uh, I'm not gonna be able to finish that video. Okay, with sport. What I'm doing with sport. Why I'm crazy today like this? Okay, with sport, I found that what works best for me is to have light physical activities and activities that I can easily commit to because I love doing them or it's easy to do them. For example, on Mondays, I do yoga and I have a teacher who is so soft, and we spend so much time just lying on the carpet, closing our eyes and just breathing. And that's what I need. And you know what? This is not doing anything on my muscles because it's so soft. But in the end, it's transforming my body. It is transforming my body. Please, conjugation, verbs. So on Monday, I would do yoga. On Friday, I would do Pilates. In the middle of the week, if I have any energy, I would go to the gym and I would just think, oh, I'm going to take a shower. Truth is, like, I'm going to take a shower because I like the gym shower. The water is very hot and I can stay as long as I want. I'm just going to take a shower. And then when I'm there, I'm like, okay, we can do a few things. I'm doing a few things, sometimes about my booty because I really love to watch my booty in the mirror and be like, I'm carrying, I'm carrying, I'm carrying. Okay. And then on the Sunday, if I want to do something, I have energy, I want to go with my partner, we would go and I would do like some boxing session. And I'm just having fun. And when I don't have fun anymore, I just stop. And that's it. I'm doing, you see, like 3 4 sessions every week, but it's so easy. It's so easy and easily to commit to. Of course, this is in my own alignment and what feels good for me. Maybe you hate Pilates, maybe you hate yoga, maybe you hate boxing, maybe you hate going and doing your booty. I don't care. Do whatever feels good for you. Okay, so light, easy to commit to activities. And so I don't need to rely on discipline ever because if I don't want to go, I just don't go. you know I just don't go. But it's easy to be consistent because it's inside my identity bracket that I like to be this Pilates girl who drinks matcha, and I like to be this yoga girl, and I like to do my booty, and this girl who does her booty, and I love the boxing. I love to hit. I love to hit. It's weird to say that or no? But yeah, I love this feeling of, releasing all your anger and tensions. And it's self devotion to me. When on the Monday I take a moment for myself, it's really self devotion. And then it's just identity based consistency. And then I'm just attracted to what feels good to me. So it feels good to me to do this kind of sports. And I feel that my body feels good and I want that again. And I don't need discipline. Okay, then with food, how do I do to not use discipline and still have a healthy diet? With food, I tried so many things, and this is the things that took me the most time to figure out because I think there is so many voices of what we should do with food, and there is the childhood voice of what we were used to, and there is the voice of what we should do, and there is the health voice of professional like medicals and nutritionists of what we should do. And there is so many voices in your head until you can shut all them down and really focus on what feels good with your specific body and metabolism, which is completely different for everyone. You will not be able to find your solution. So for me, the solution was intuitive eating. And for so long, I was looking through everything like fasting, not fasting, long fasting, short fasting, not eating sugar, this and that. I was trying so many things. And I was hearing about intuitive eating, but I was like, please. If I eat intuitively, I will just eat everything that I want and then it will not work. And I didn't understand that intuitive eating is not just intuitively eating everything that you want. This is just not actually the definition of intuitive eating. Intuitive eating is to take the time to reconnect with yourself and your hunger cues and the way your body function and what you want and why you want it, and all of that, taking really the time to understand yourself and change the way you speak to yourself and understand your childhood pattern with food and all of that. And it's a real work until you can reach the level that you really eat intuitively, like, and really are attracted with the things that are good for you and are repulsed with the things that are actually not good for you. So it's a, through the name of it, intuitive eating, it sounds so like silly, like, oh, okay, I can just eat whatever I want then. How it's gonna work, how it is gonna work, you know? But it's not that. It's really not that. It's a little bit more complex than that, but through that complexity is actually very easy because I don't have to count my calories. Oh, I did that for a while. Counting every calorie. Oh my god. This is discipline. This is what asked me discipline, for example. Time where I was counting every damn calorie. This was me using discipline and getting depleted by it. Really, I was losing my shine. I was losing weight. It was working, but I was losing my shine. And as I was stopping counting, I was taking the weight back. So really, instead of that discipline, I changed the way that I speak to myself. So instead of having that controlling parent inside of my head, controlling what I do when I do sport, oh, and you didn't do your session, or and you eat that, it's not good, don't eat that, eat that. Instead of having that controlling parent voice, I became my best friend again. And even starting to speak to myself as a kid. Like, would I tell a kid who wants a piece of chocolate, like, no, it's disgusting for you. You should not eat chocolate. Why you always eat chocolate? Would I speak like this to my kid or to any kid? You know, and I started really speaking to myself differently, really starting to learn about my hunger cues. Oh, I'm actually hungry, but it's not a red alert. I'm just hungry. It's okay. There is food in the fridge. I'm not gonna die. It's all good. And then realized I used to fill myself by fear of being empty for a second. You know, all of that is what brought me to be able to now intuitively eat and just really send to my body what's good for it. Which doesn't mean that I never eat like a chocolate or croissant or whatever. Of course I do, but sometimes, you know what, I would eat half of a croissant and I would feel good after that. I would be like, oh, actually I'm good. You know, half a croissant, it was nice, I'm good now. When before, if there was three, four, five croissants in front of me, I would eat all of them without feeling any type of like ending to it. So I really don't use discipline at all with the food. I sometimes see myself going back to some patterns, especially with maybe sugar, even though I'm not considering myself addict anymore like I used to be, a big sugar addict. But I know that I could slightly go back to some pattern if I was not being careful. So there is a bit of awareness, which still I would not call discipline at all, because if I want something sweet, I would eat it. But generally, as I said, I realized that my level of um like if I eat half of a cake because I share with my husband something on a coffee, it's like enough for me. So I don't have that level of always wanting more and never being able to like really feeling full, which I remember was a very, very weird feeling and constant feeling with food. And it was also because I was not eating what I was needing. So my body was using sugar as energy. And I also learned about myself that through sugar, I was actually liking fat because I was not eating sugar as candies or these kind of things. I was eating sugar as chocolate cake or something which is actually oily and sweet, not just sweet. You know, if you ask me to choose between a bread and butter or bread and jam, I will choose bread and butter because I actually like fat more than sugar. And when I realized that I could eat more fat, which is actually okay. So anyway, I understood so many things about food that I cannot share everything in that video because it's not really the topic. But this is how I don't use discipline with food and just use self-devotion, wanting to feed myself with what's good, wanting to be good to myself and to feel good in my body. Because when actually you overeat, you don't feel good in your body. It's not true. You feel bloated, you feel overfull, you feel like you're gonna vomit, you feel like going to the toilet, you don't feel good. So actually wanted to feel good, self-devotion, identity-based consistency, that I am now that person who take care of herself, who is here for herself, who is calm, stable, regulated. So I naturally take the actions towards that identity. And yeah, I don't, I really don't, I'm trying to think because I might miss something, but I really don't feel like I use any discipline in my diet. And if I really want to eat something like greasy and fat or juicy and sweet, I would eat a piece of it, and that's totally fine and balanced. And then lastly, work. I also stopped using discipline in work. And this is one of the sphere of my life where I had to really release external pressure and really believe that I can do things differently, which was really hard for me because the only model that you see about successful women is generally through discipline. And so I was like, am I actually missing something? Am I actually pushing away the identity that I should be going towards? Am I actually not a disciplined person, or should I work more on that identity? So I questioned myself so much until I realized that I allow myself to do things differently. I just allow myself to do things differently because I can feel in my body, not just in my mind. I can feel in my body that this is not my way. This is not my way. And this liberated me so much. And I know it shined on my face and on visible transformation because I really felt like I gave a big weight that I had on my shoulder, that I don't need to be that person who push and force and go through discipline to be that successful woman. I can just have a very slow, quiet success that I enjoy my daily life, which is for me this harmony of living is way more important than showing off to anyone that I am successful. And so in my work, I don't use discipline, but I use self devotion. Like I know my vision, I know my intentions, and I use that self devotion that I need to be able to be there for the people who are looking for someone like me. And I think I just really like the way I'm doing things right now, because when I was pushing through discipline, I was pushing through, for example, social media. And of course, it was asking me to be very disciplined, to post every day, to create content every day. And it was giving results, of course. It was bringing clients, it was bringing result and money. But the thing is that I was not in my natural rhythm and I was pushing through with discipline and I was depleting myself. And I realized through that when I do need to rely on discipline so much, I'm not meaning just one day or one week. I'm meaning when I have to live my life relying on discipline so much, at least for me, it means that something is not aligned. And when I was on Instagram pushing with discipline, something was not aligned with who I was, my identities, my visibility, and everything is connected and it was not aligned. It was not my platform. It was not my path. It was not my way to do things. And I was pushing. But I actually don't need discipline for the things that I love. And this is what transformed me most to really accept that I can do things differently, is that I already reach results and consistency with the things that I love without any discipline. I drink my tea or cappuccino or matcha every day. I call my best friends every day. I kiss my husband every day. I cook from home every day because I love cooking. I do all those things that bring amazing results because we eat good food, because I entertain and cultivate a good relationship with my friends, because I do all that without any discipline. So why would it have to be different for work or diet or lifestyle or sport activities, all of that? And so this really convinced me, like in a logical way, which is what my brain needed in that moment, not just like a belief that I can do things differently, but a proof that I can do things differently. And that proof for my brain was I already do it actually. I already do things differently in the things that I love without discipline. And now work for me looks like working for 3 to 4 hours every day and focusing on one task also, because I was trying to be that girl who has a meeting in the morning and then do something else in the afternoon and then do something there and change and do everything at the same time. And I could not reach a flow. I was like always stressed and trying to do everything. Now I have every day one goal. So today, for example, the goal is to film my videos. One other day will be to edit the video. One other day will be to script some new videos. One day will be to brainstorm some new videos. One day will be to create an offer uh, if I want new clients or whatever. I'm focusing on one task. Yesterday, I was creating a conference. I got booked for a conference at the end of the month. I took one day and I was creating the conference in that day. And I take 4 hours and I get to be in a flow state instead of in a like juggling state. I'm in a flow state and I really focus on one task for 4 hours. And that's it. I don't see the time passing and I don't feel like I'm working, you know? Flow over force. So if no one told you before, maybe you don't need to glow up. Maybe you just need to put that heavy bag down of the trying to push with discipline when it's maybe not what's really good for your nervous system and your body. And there are other ways. I'm sure you could even find your own ways. I'm just offering some propositions that works for me, but you could find even your own ways of going through life and reaching your intentions and goals without any discipline. So babe, you got this. See you in the next one.